The defendants have also manufactured malnutrition. For example, Indonesians and Malaysians received no means to survive through the harshest and longest lockdowns implemented across the world, in contrast to Ireland, where governments were forced to pay people to obey the arbitrarily imposed measures. Sally Clark will provide her research on the excess deaths, infant deaths, and the vast drops in population in each population, in line with the rollout of the genetic COVID shots. All those giving testimony will have to be given protection. Professor Richard Klaproth from Gladiator Banksa, the Indonesian leadership group who filed charges against Save the Children Fund, World Mosquito Programme and the Health Minister, has already had 2,000 hours of published meetings and first-hand evidence deleted. This was authorised and carried out by Indonesia's intelligence. The recordings included testimony by Dr. Siti Fadila Supari pertaining to the pathogen which she had refused to share with the WHO. She was framed and imprisoned for 4 years, before which she hid the pathogen. Only one senior, then trusted official in the government's intelligence department knew where the pathogen was hidden. On her release, she heard the pathogen was gone and she set about finding it. She has since traced it to American laboratories in Ukraine, where further human experimentation is going on, and no doubt undisclosed violations of human rights and undisclosed inclusion in other products already being used by armies and against civilians. In the same way, COVID-19 injection elements, including spike proteins, graphene, and self-assembling nanobots, have been identified in dental anaesthetic and many other medical and food products on the market since the pandemic. Even familiar brands that have now been bought by a corporate arm of the defendants' operations. Fred Corbyn on Barbados can give evidence on this, following an independent study by Caribbean doctors. He can also explain for the court the ingredients and mechanisms of the weather modification aerial attacks routinely happening across member states, which he obtained through the US Army DARPA's Freedom of Information system. The simulation may well use the two ARPA-H WHO platforms. So we've heard of DARPA, ARPA-H are WHO platforms, technology that they have authorised. A living pharmacy is one, and a living sentinel. They're developed to automatically deliver prescribed treatment and surveillance technologies, respectively, into people's bodies and monitor them from within the individual's body, such as resilient extended automatic cell therapies, blood draws, injections, pills and surgeries. Patents should never have been allowed for the exclusive rights to the computerization of the human body or the creation of hurricanes. They facilitate the annihilation of people and their rights to even know that someone was responsible and benefiting from the disaster, let alone defend themselves. As the simulation exercise, actually that is against the Weather Modification Treaty, that is not allowed, means you're not allowed to create lasting damage. As the simulation exercise utilises all the above activities without people's informed consent, without due diligence and in full knowledge of the financial harms and loss of life caused by the defendants already, the UN Security Council have determined that the simulation exercise planned by the UN and other intergovernmental organisations in effective relations with the WHO, listed below, is an act of aggression, at very least. So who's involved? United Nations, the African Development Bank and African Development Fund, Commission of the African Union, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, Islamic Development Bank, International Fund for Agricultural Development, International Labour Organization, the League of Arab States, International Organization of La Francophonie. Interesting. World Organization for Animal Health, poor old animals. International Atomic Energy Agency. Yeah, the WHO called the fleets of nuclear submarines part of their logistics supply chain. where other people might call it proliferation of nuclear weapons, which is obviously not allowed. Pan American Health Organization, International Committee of Military Medicine, South Center. United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, Universal Postal Union. And I've already done a series of videos about my notice to them, asking them for a mea culpa. They're the ones who are supposed to stay in control of the commercial enterprises of all the other corporations. World Intellectual Property Organization, World Meteorological Organization, International Development Law Organization. So that was it. Then there's the references, all my notices from the last 24 months, and have I got to the bottom yet? We'll stop there and I'll assess the situation.